Today we are still talking about division and using equal shares with repeated subtraction. Today is January the 12th. It's a Tuesday and we've got a good start off to the week, so let's keep it up. We're learning this so that we can share equal amounts. You guys do this quite often. You just didn't really understand that it was division until now. So that's awesome that you've already experienced this by sharing with your friends, with your siblings, with your neighbors, with your family. So we can do division using models that help us. And today we're going to use the strategy of repeated subtraction. So we're thinking about division as repeated subtraction. I want you to think about this question as we work through the problems. How can you think of division as repeated subtraction? How would that look? How would you use drawings or something on a dry erase board to practice this strategy? You're going to use models to solve division problems involving repeated subtraction and record the solutions using division number sentences, meaning that it has a number, it has an operation sign, and there should be a quotient since we're working on division, and a quotient is an answer to a division problem. You know that you can think of division as sharing equally. Today we're going to continue learning with that thinking and how we're going to use repeated subtraction to show it. So today our problem is Caroline bought 48 pencils. She wants to give 8 pencils each to some of her friends. How many friends can get pencils? So I want you to think about how many friends could get pencils. And if you've got a dry erase board, pause the video, try this problem, see how you could do it. Thinking about how you could start subtracting. What would the problem look like? What would the number sentence look like for the division problem? And then once you finish trying it on your own, then come back and watch the rest. Okay, I'm going to use my dry erase board, and I've already written for you the division sentence that would work for this problem. Now, we talked about how many pencils Caroline had, how many pencils she wanted to give each friend. We just need to find out how many friends she can give those 48 pencils to and give each friend 8. So the first thing that I'm going to do is use my repeated subtraction. So I know that she has 48 pencils altogether. She doesn't have more than 48. She has exactly 48. She wants to give 8 pencils to each friend. So in my mind, I'm starting to separate those out, getting 8 pencils. So I'm going to go ahead and take away the first group of 8. And that's going to leave me 40. I'm going to take away another group of 8. And that's going to leave me 32. I'm going to take another group of 8. And you're starting to see this pattern here. I'm doing a repeated subtraction problem. That's going to give me 24. Going to take another group of 8. It's going to leave me 16. Oops. I don't think you can see my 6 there. Sorry about that. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring that 16 up here so that I've got room to subtract again. And I'm going to take away 8 again. So I'm just taking away as I go through, repeatedly taking that 8 away. And now I should have 0. Our goal is to get to 0. There are some times in certain situations where you will have a remainder for the problem, but in this case we don't have a remainder. We got it to 0. We can't take away anymore because we're at 0. If I would have had a remainder and if it had been smaller than 8, then I couldn't have taken 8 away anymore, so I would have been finished with the problem. Now, how do we determine what the quotient is? I'm looking for this variable a. What could a represent? How would I know what a represents? By looking at the problem that I've done here. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to decide how many times you subtracted 8. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to circle every time that I have a minus or a take away 8. So now I can look at my red circles, and if I count those, I have 6 red circles. It means that I have subtracted 8 6 times. So A in this particular problem would be equal to 6. Oops, that's not a very pretty 6. So I could erase A here and go ahead and put my 6 in. So I know that A is equal to 6. Go back to my pencil. Now, I want you to look at right here, I have an 8, okay? But that 8 was what I had left over when I subtracted 8 from 16. That 8 does not get counted because I'm not subtracting that 8. That's just what I had left over. I only count where I have minus 8. So I'm not going to count this 8 that's not circled here. So remember, it's what you're taking away, the amount that you're taking away each time. So you're going to only count those where it says minus 8 or take away 8 in this particular problem. Now what I want you to think about, and let's just have some discussion here, we know that we have 48 pencils altogether. Caroline had 48 pencils altogether. She wanted to divide them into groups of 8 so that we could determine how many people or how many friends she was going to get to share those with. So what does that 48 stand for? If you said that's how many pencils she has altogether, that's the whole amount that she has, then you're correct. Remember that we divide the whole number that we have. What does the 8 stand for? You're exactly right. If you said it stands for the 8 pencils that she wants to give to each friend. The 6 stands for how many friends she is able to share those 48 pencils with. So when we think of a division problem, we're thinking of, do we know the whole number? These two numbers here represent the parts that make up this whole number. So when I put these two together, remember we talked about that relationship with multiplication and division? We can use that inverse operation for division, which is multiplication. And if I multiplied 8 times 6, it equals 48. It equals 48. So I don't know about you, but when I was younger and I was learning multiplication and division, it was so difficult for me to determine whether I was going to multiply on a problem or divide on a problem. So let's talk about how we can figure out what operation to use in a problem like this. So the first thing I would always recommend is read the problem first. Then reread the problem. When I say reread the problem, start looking at information that it's giving you. And then you're going to ask yourself some questions. When we're reading a word problem, we should start immediately thinking about some questions that we have after we reread it. So the first thing that I ask is, do I know the total amount? If I say yes, then what is it? What is that total amount? And then I'm going to be thinking about, do I know the number of groups and the amount in each group? Now, if I know both of them, then I'm going to be thinking about yes, and if I know both of them, what are they? Then I'm going to reread the problem. I'm going to check the problem again. But if I don't know both of these here, then I'm going to say no, and guess what operation I'm going to use? Oops, sorry about that. Guess what operation I'm going to use? And I keep hitting that button. I'm trying to get this off my screen here, but it's not working. So I'm going to use division. I would use division here to help me with this problem. The next thing that I'm going to think about is, if I'm going to multiply, do I know the total amount? If you're multiplying, you don't know the total amount. You have to put two numbers together. You have to multiply them together to be able to get a total. It's just like addition. To get a total, we've got to add things together. For multiplication, I'm going to have to multiply numbers together. So if I answer no, do I know the number of groups and the amount in each group? If I know those two numbers, then I know that I'm going to be able to multiply those. So if I can say yes to both of those, I know the number of groups and I know the amount in each group, then I'm going to multiply. If I say no, then I'm going to check my problem again because I'm probably going to have to do a different operation. So hopefully that'll help you understand whether or not you need to multiply or divide based on the information that's given in the problem. But it's so important to you to reread that question. Anytime I have a question, I always read it at least twice, sometimes more, making sure I have the information correct in my mind before I start trying to solve the problem. All right, normally if we were at school, I would have you working with a partner, and when it says shoulder partner, that means the partner right next, or person right next to you. But since we're not at school today, I want you to just use a dry erase board, and I want you to think about what it would look like if you had 48 pencils, just like Caroline had, but you wanted to share those in groups of 12. How many friends would you be able to share those with? The next thing that I want you to try is with 4. I want you to look at the 3 problems we solved. Once you do those on your own, as the number of pencils are given to each friend changes, how does the number of friends who get the pencils change? So think about those questions in this process as you're working through those problems. And I want you on the lesson work, when you turn it in today, I see that Miss Bays forgot to change a word here. I have the word tacos. So if you have watched my video today, I want you to put in the post comments on the lesson work where you turn it in the word tacos, because it should say pencils there. I hope everybody has a great day, and I want you to make sure that you get all your work completed before you click turn in. You're going to have a problem of the day and a Google form to complete for me. On the Google form, you're going to choose what answer best represents the situation. So look at your situation and then choose the best answer. I hope everybody, again, has an awesome day. Get your work finished and enjoy the rest of your day. See you later.